Hello, I'm Grin, and as I carefully step around this mumbo-jumbo token while leaving the doorway, I'd like to welcome you back to Wash a Dryer Gobi's Valley Part 4. So far, it's been a relatively successful romp through the desert. We've managed to get 6 Jiggies so far, and have only failed to get one of them, and even so, Meme Formula has suggested a solution to that. We don't get around to trying it out in this video, but when the situation arises that we're short on Jiggies, we will return and give it a crack. However, before we go any further, it's time to return once more back to the step pyramid, as while we have already successfully beaten the challenge on it and have entered the pyramid and gotten all within, we've not yet got all without. And by that I mean, as I was following the racing line, so to speak, and hugging the interior track so closely while climbing the step pyramid in order to get to the summit within the time allocated, I neglected many of the collectibles on the way. And while many of these collectibles are paltry items, literally, the ones that I'm most concerned about are the music notes, of which without, I can't open doors. And even so, while the music notes are the main reason that I'm undergoing the climb, I'm also going to make sure to collect the feathers and the eggs, because it seems that whenever I need them, I'm always running out. You don't have to look much farther than the previous episode in which I was running low on red feathers to see evidence of that. Regardless, with the final music note collected, or at least the final one on this pyramid, and the summit reached, it's time to set our sights on new horizons. And in this age of 80s and 90s nostalgia in which everyone is looking backwards, what better new horizons are there than a place where we've been before? Twice, or possibly 3 times in fact. That's right folks, we're heading back once more to the Banjo-Sphinx. And if you've not seen the previous episodes and are wondering why I am heading back to the Banjo-Sphinx, firstly, why are you beginning with a series of Part 4? This isn't Star Wars. And to answer your question, because on top of the Banjo-Sphinx is one of the Jiggies that we have actually been awarded, and simply have yet had a chance to collect. And so, having collected it, bringing out successfully 1 Jiggies for the map up to 7, it's time to utilise the second reason for climbing the Banjo-Sphinx, which is, of course, the flight pad. Taking flight once more was of course necessary, as there is a quite literal target of which we previously failed to hit. So we take aim, fire, and hit our target dead on, or at least dead on enough to open the door. With said door open, it's time to drop down, slide down, and enter yet another pyramid. Aren't we good little archaeologists? Well, probably not by modern standards as we're plundering the tombs, but by 20th century standards we're doing a stand-up job. In this pyramid, there's a lot of what you would expect in a real-life pyramid. There are several golden music notes magically hovering just above the ground, a spinning disembodied skull made entirely of silver that, if collected and presented to a shaman, would allow you to transform into a magical creature, and, of course, in the center, the pyramid's residence, a magical snake charmer. It's all rather authentic, and if you're writing an essay in school on ancient Egypt, this is a pretty good source material for what the interior of one of Imhotep's pyramids would look like. But Grim, you cry, what in blazes are you talking about? Imhotep designed the step pyramid, whereas you're currently inside a more famous style flat-sided pyramid, likely inspired by those found in Giza, which were, as anyone could tell you, designed by Hammon and not Imhotep. To which I must concede, you are of course correct, and I do apologise. It's difficult to get ancient historical facts correct while you're trying to poop eggs into a moving basket. That is of course, however, absolutely no excuse, or at least I was told it was no excuse when I tried to use said excuse to get out of a history exam. But I digress, another Jiggy gotten, as our trek through the desert land of Gobi's Valley continues to be rather darn successful. And so, having collected everything of value in this room, excluding the mumbo-jumbo token, it's time to say goodbye to Apophyse's little brother and head back once more into the desert. There are still a few more collectibles to collect around the golden hot sand that surrounds the Sphinx, and once more I find myself quite relieved that the washer-dryer is immune to such turmoil. I had at first postulated that this was maybe due to the washer-dryer not having any nerve endings, but as it still can take damage from other attacks and other sources of danger, I think perhaps what we're seeing going on here instead might actually possibly be more of a mind-over-matter situation. Not unlike how some ancient pagans and saints would walk over hot coals to demonstrate that either their gods were powerful or that they were favoured by their gods, I think maybe the washer-dryer is just so devoted of winning this challenge of passing the game as a washer-dryer that it's just put the pain out of its mind. Which is a darn decent thing for it to do, as while not being able to wear the boots, I'm not really sure how I could have possibly passed this game, thanks to all the impassable terrain, if I wasn't able to just walk straight through it. Being able to do so while not solving all of our problems at least gives us a fighting chance. And not one to waste a chance, I spring into action and stand here and wait. The reason I wait is because I'm committed to seeing a whole new world and a fantastic new point of view, preferably somewhere that's shining, shimmering, splendid. Perhaps even somewhere where no one will tell us no or where to go, or even say that we're only dreaming. But from way down here, it's pretty darn crystal clear that I can't do any of this without my very own magic carpet ride. And I've got to say, once on said magical carpet ride, I find that despite flying relatively low, I immediately begin witnessing unbelievable sights, undergoing indescribable feelings, as I soar, though not tumble or freewheel, through a somewhat limited diamond skybox. The journey, though seemingly over almost before it even began, at least took us to this here ledge, which allowed us to collect the final music notes for this level. And having completed that part of the quest, like many quests when coming to the end, there's not much left to do other than harass a poor defenseless camel. Which, of course, means it's time to return back to the entrance of the level, where there's the small oasis, the thirsty tree, and our good friend Gobi, who is enjoying the freedom we granted him a few parts ago. Gobi informs us that he's not willing to cooperate. However, luckily for us, there's very few problems in this world that can't be solved by either defecating eggs on something or pounding something into the ground. And so, having completed Operation Ground and Pound, please don't sue us, Dragon Force, Gobi springs a leak and Trunker's thirst is finally satiated. Which means two things. Firstly, Gobi's run away, and we're going to have to track him down and harass him a little bit more. And secondly, that Trunk is grow real big and sprouted jiggy. Because climbing trees is very difficult for a washer-dryer, we can't simply climb Trunker, and so instead we climb a tree in order to jump over to him. Which, by the way, brings us up to Jiggy number 9, which makes this one of the more successful levels that we've done in washer-dryer in all of the ones we've done in this entire series. We've gotten all of the music notes, and we've gotten all but one Jiggy, and even that missing Jiggy we might get at a later date, because Meme Formula suggested a way for that. And so, with all of that done, there's only one thing left to do in this level, which is, as I suggested earlier, once more harass poor Gobi. He's run back to that ledge we were at earlier, and so we're going to need to go on another magical carpet ride. If I'd done this level in a better order, we could have already gone and done this, but I didn't, so here we are. Luckily for us, the magic carpet ride comes by in a more reliable fashion than the metro system for pretty much any major city. Unluckily for us though, I'm unfortunately rather clumsy. And so, having failed to jump on it the first time and failed to chase it down, I now wait at the second magical flying carpet ride stop and wait for it to come around again. And with that embarrassing bout of clumsiness over, it's a short flight up to the ledge once more to do a little bit extra ground pounding and get that little bit more from poor old Gobi. This time, however, rather than being a liquid, it's the final missing honeycomb piece for the level, which is also, excluding the missing Jiggy piece, the last worthwhile collectible in Gobi's Valley. What does this all mean, you might well wonder? Well, it means it's about time to return back to the start of the level in order to utilize the world pad so I can Star Trek my way back into Gruntilda's lair. And having done so, there's now very little left to do in this part, and indeed episode, than to collect the overworld Jiggy that is associated with Gobi's Valley. And fortunately for us, doing so requires very little effort, as it's only a small hop, skip and a jump away. Which means that with Banjo's sarcophagus now completely burgled, it's now time to say thanks for watching, and until next time, I have been and still am Grim Grindle. Tune in next time as we take a stroll into Frustrated Ghoul's large home.